very historic hearing. Many of my colleagues have asked me about the phrase gender identity and why employment protection based on gender identity expression ought to be included in any employment discrimination legislation this Congress takes up. And I'll do my best to answer any lingering questions and clarify what drives many in the LGBT community to an inclusive approach to eliminating discrimination in the workplace, one that does not leave behind the smallest and most vulnerable part of our community. As you may know, gender identity is a person's internal sense of his or her gender. In the vast majority of the population, an individual's gender identity and his or her birth sex match. But for a small minority of people, gender identity and anatomical conflict. A common way that many transgender people describe this feeling is to say something to the effect of trapped in the wrong body. Gender identity and sexual orientation are not the same, and transgender people may be heterosexual, lesbian, gay, or bisexual. There are thousands of transgender Americans who lead incredibly successful, stable lives. They're dedicated parents. They contribute immeasurably to their communities and to their country. I personally know transgender people who work in fields diverse as defense contracting, broadcasting, community organizing, and the legal profession, and I could go on. They have transitioned successfully, many with the full support of their employers. Despite these successes, because an individual was born one sex and presents oneself to the world as another, or in a way that other people may think is inconsistent with how a man or woman should present themselves, he or she may face many forms of discrimination. Hate crimes against transgender Americans are tragically common. Transgender people also face discrimination in the mundane tasks of the everyday, trying to find housing, applying for credit, or even seeing a doctor. And of course, the focus of today's hearing, in trying to provide for themselves and their families. Now, some of you know that I practiced law at a small general practice firm before I was elected to the Wisconsin Assembly. On occasion, I represented clients who were fired from jobs in violation of Wisconsin's landmark 1982 anti-discrimination law that added sexual orientation to our state's anti-discrimination statutes. During that time, I met a transgender woman who has left a lasting impact upon me. This woman had been fired from a management position at a large local employer, and she announced to her boss that she intended to transition. And as Wisconsin's law gave her no legal recourse, she faced an impossible situation and ended up moving to a different state. I remember a time in my own life when I thought I had to choose between living my own life with truth and integrity about who I am as a lesbian or pursuing the career of my dreams in public service. Among the things that made me change my mind was Wisconsin's non-discrimination law that had passed only 4 years before I first ran for local office as an out lesbian. The importance of non-discrimination laws cannot be overstated. Substantively, they provide real remedies and a chance to seek justice. Symbolically, they say to America, judge your fellow citizen by their integrity, character, and talents, not sexual orientation or gender identity or race or religion for that matter. Symbolically, these laws also say that irrational fear, irrational hate have no place in our workplaces. Today, 39% of Americans live in areas explicitly banning discrimination based on gender identity and expression. And at least 300 major U.S. businesses now ban discrimination based on gender identity and expression. Corporate America and the American people are way ahead of the Congress in acknowledging the basic truth we hold to be self-evident, that all of us are created equal, and the laws of the land should reflect that equality. It is high time that America declared discrimination based on gender ID and expression to be unlawful. Mr. Chairman, I wholeheartedly support your committee's efforts to do just that. For the record, I support, like you, an inclusive bill which ensures that hardworking Americans cannot be denied job opportunities, fired, or otherwise discriminated against just because of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. All of us who have had the honor of working in this institution know that one of the greatest things about America is that it is not only a nation, it is also an idea. And our American dream promises that no matter where we start, no matter who we are, that if we work hard, we will have the opportunity to advance. This committee can help fulfill that promise. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Baldwin, for the incisive legislative record you built and the dignity with which you conduct yourself. Thank you. Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, to you and to the chairman of this committee, my deepest appreciation. Having become a chairman of a full committee, I understand the problems of trying to fit everything in, and